January. Illinois Representative Sean Casten says COVID capacity limits likely saved the lives of many people on the day of this insurrection. He went into lockdown at a nearby office building while waiting to be called to the Capitol.
And he actually joins us live tonight to talk more about it. Congressman, thanks for being with us. We heard your comments there in Naperville to the crowd that was gathered there, but you were set to certify the election on this day 1 year ago. We heard you describe what it was like for you. Can you tell us how that has changed you and your outlook where we are 1 year later?
Boy, we're all still evolving. There was something about that night, and it was, almost a year now to the day. This was probably about the point in the day when we had gotten the all clear. We were starting to go back in and figure it out, and we said, all right, what are we going to do? And just to a person, every single person in our caucus said, we have got to make sure that at the end of the day, democracy wins. And it was that spirit that brought us down to the floor to certify the election results. And then we sat there watching the majority of the Republican caucus vote with the people who had attacked the Capitol. And then even more of them vote when we came up for the Pennsylvania results. And that sort of stink of it becoming ever more partisan to defend democracy hasn't totally worn off. We did our job that day. I'm proud we did our job that day. But it's been tragic to
I think we lost you there for a second. You were saying that day you wanted to make sure that democracy won, and you question now whether it did. Explain your point a little bit more.
Well, democracy won, right? We certified the election, but we certified the election in spite of the fact that the majority of my colleagues across the aisle voted against the Arizona results. And then a bigger number voted against the Pennsylvania results. And now we still see them peddling this lie, and our democracy can't heal if it is partisan to defend it. And that's the part that I think we all struggle with as members, because we love our country, we love our democracy, we love our Constitution. And I don't want that to be a lonely proposition.
Some of your colleagues have said that they think that we are worse off a year after this than when it happened. Do you believe that? Is that how you see it?
I guess I'd say we are becoming aware of some of the gaps that were always in our society. I mean, any government has a tension between people who are comfortable being governed by the will of the majority and petrified of being governed by the will of the majority. And we like to tell ourselves that the United States is a mature democracy and we're not subject to some of those risks you see in other countries. Last year has shown us that we are. Does that mean we're worse off? I don't know. I choose to see it as we're a little bit wiser, and we've got to be a little bit more focused. We know what we have to be vigilant against. We've seen the consequences of taking our eyes off that prize, and hopefully that makes us better as a country going forward.
This might be a really fundamental question, but why do you think there is such a difference in the way that Americans view the riot? And are you struck by that stark contrast?
I don't worry about that as much as I worry about the people who are spreading the lie. There are always going to be some sizable number of people who will look to their leaders to tell them what to do, will look to people on television to tell them what they do. And nobody wants to admit that they're not really a leader, but the truth is very few of us are. And those people who stormed the Capitol, the people who still believe the big lie, they believe that because they're looking at people in high office who are telling them lies. We can fix that by putting people of character into high office. And I think those folks will come around. I'm reminded of the words of I think it was Hannah Arendt after World War II, who said 10% of the Germans were angels, 10% were devils, and the balance were persuadable. I'm not sure that's not true of all societies. And we just need to make sure that those voices of love and decency and democracy are a little louder than the voices of hatred and evil.
We have a little less than a minute to go here. Since the Capitol riot, there have been a number of states that have put restrictions on voting and given state houses the right to be able to throw out a popular vote. Do you think that is just as much a threat as what we saw 1 year ago today, or maybe even more so?
It's tremendously dangerous. I mean, look at the fact that, Liz Cheney and her father were the only two Republicans who were there today, and she's been scorned from her party as a result of that. Kevin McCarthy finds it easier to stand up to Liz Cheney than he does to stand up to Lauren Boebert. That's a real problem, and it's creating a space where the anti-democratic forces in this country are finding purchase in the party of Lincoln, the party of Reagan, the party of Eisenhower. And yeah, it's really scary. But I think we can all take optimism in the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans don't share those values. If they did, the January 6 riots wouldn't have happened because the person they wanted would have won a free and fair election. He didn't.
Okay.
Right? So let's take optimism in where the American people are, and let's use that to build something a little bit more beautiful and more resilient.
All right, good thoughts to end on. Thank you so much to Congressman Sean Casten for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
By the way, WGN reached out to every Illinois Republican representative across Illinois. While no one agreed to an interview, they did put out statements about the insurrection anniversary. 16th
District Representative Adam Kinzinger tweeted, "We cannot move on from January 6th without taking action to make sure it never happens again." And that starts by admitting the facts, calling out the lies, and addressing the toxic tribalism plaguing this nation.
And we do have more statements from Illinois lawmakers on our website, WGNTV.com. And our anniversary coverage will continue tonight on the news at 10. And you'll find more of today's stories on the anniversary events here in Illinois and in D.C., also on our website.
In the meantime, now on to